This coming Sunday, the Discovery Channel is going to broadcast the documentary, The Lost Tomb of Jesus. The show brings up the familiar theme that Christ might have been married to Mary Magdalene and possibly fathered a son. It also contradicts theological teachings of a physical ascension of Jesus' body while remaining consistent with a spiritual ascension. I first heard about it on Fox and Friends, but I smelled a rat in their all-too-pat coverage. Being a liberal, I turned to the liberal media and the Discovery Channel's own website for information on the lost tomb of Jesus. All of the facts Fox News uses to poke holes in the theory can be found by these sources. Ironically, even more evidence against the theory can be found as well. Of course, to present that, Fox News would have had to reveal to their viewers the other side of the story. So what are the spin doctors at Fox and Friends omitting? Oh, only the main points of the documentary. Fox and Friends mocks the DNA evidence in a manner to lead you to believe, falsely, the filmmakers are trying to ID it as belonging to Jesus. Obviously, that's an absurd impossibility. In point of truth, the documentary uses it to prove that the remains in the tombs it supposes belonged to Jesus and Mary Magdalene weren't related. To wit, it supports the argument they could be man and wife. Never mentioned by Fox and Friends is the patina fingerprinting used to tie the ossuaries in this tomb to the ossuary of James. And one of the more interesting tidbits is the names. Fox and Friends emphasizes the commonality of the names. What they don't bother telling us is the documentary ties all the names to Jesus and his family, then uses statistics to come up with a 601 chance in their favor. You've heard some of the facts, now enjoy their spin.
Today is the day when James Cameron, the guy who directed the movie The Titanic, is going to have a big press conference here in New York City.
Is he doing a sequel? Because it sunk.
You know what?
He's trying to sink something else, I think.
Christianity, for the most part.
Oh.
He's got a new Discovery Channel special called The Jesus Family Tomb. And in it, what they do is they reveal that back in 1980, when they were doing, they were building an apartment building in Jerusalem, and they realized, hey, what's that down there? Hey, this is a tomb. And in fact, there were a number of these so-called bone boxes there. Well, now he has put together a theory that he has located the remains of Jesus, Jesus' mother, father, perhaps a son that he had with Mary Magdalene as well.
Yeah, because the names on these boxes of bones said, allegedly, Jesus, Mary, Matthew, Joseph, Mary Magdalene, Judah, son of Jesus. Now, critics are saying that these were very common names back in that day, so that this could have been any other family, plus that Jesus' family was not rich, so they would not have been able to afford this kind of a family tomb. And let's not forget that there were hundreds of witnesses who saw Jesus rise from the dead, not just one or two witnesses as we need now to try and prove that.
Right.
So many people are going to be very upset about this movie because it does completely question whether or not Jesus was resurrected.
How very Da Vinci Code, isn't it?
Very Da Vinci Code. Although Da Vinci Code was fiction, and they never said it was nonfiction. In this case, I believe that James Cameron is saying that this is true.
Because he says,
documentary.
Well, he says, I've got the DNA.
Yeah, he's got the DNA. They sent to this special biotech center, the sophisticated center, so he's going to go show
DNA
that.
from what?
Now, here's the thing.
They can pick up DNA from 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Well, the Shroud of Turin would help. Get a piece of that. But, by the way, that's in Italy, correct?
I don't know where it is now.
In Turin. Hey,
but that was from like the 7th or 12th century.
So that's
already been disproved.
I haven't given in yet.
Okay.
I'm going to do my own carbon testing. But here's the thing. Are there going to be massive street protests? Are people going to be killed and assassinated because of this? I would venture to say no. People might be upset by this. They might say, what is the Discovery Channel doing? They might say, James Cameron's off his rocker. How dare they do this? But there's going to be an intellectual debate. I don't think people are going to be assassinated. Can you imagine if they did that and they said, oh, we found Muhammad's remains. It turns out, fill in the blank.
Right.
It would be a worldwide, it would be absolutely insane. They were killing people over a cartoon in Europe.
But don't you think that the biggest questions in life are about God, potentially? Because we don't know a lot about... So
life after death,
people
number
will be fascinated by this. I bet a ton of people will watch this because everyone's searching for answers. I mean, that's the whole integral part of faith.
And the key is, if you want answers, you need cable. Because the Discovery Channel, you need cable. That's where the answers are.
All right, the big The biggest controversy from Hollywood this weekend had nothing to do with the Oscars and everything to do with Titanic director James Cameron. Cameron's new documentary claims the resurrection of Christ never happened, and also asserts that Christ fathered a child with Mary Magdalene.
Joining us right now from California is Ted Baer, the chairman of the Christian Film and Television Commission. Good morning to you, Ted.
Good morning. Great to be with you this morning.
It's
Even
great
if I only got 2 hours sleep.
I know you had to watch the big show last night. Well, today on our show we're talking about James Cameron, who directed the Titanic, says that when they were excavating for an apartment building in Jerusalem back in 1980, they discovered a crypt, and there were a number of these bone boxes, and he says that they have discovered through DNA Jesus' remains or bone box, Mary Magdalene, Joseph. And he says this changes everything. What do you say to this?
Well, first place, what they discovered through DNA is, as you know, is that these people are not related.
Right.
Second place, the names were very common. 25% of the people in Jerusalem at the time had the name of Mary, so these were extremely common names. Next place, you know, Jesus' family was very poor. They would not have had a family ossuary. And the person who discovered this was the one who discovered in 2002 the ossuary of James,
right,
which proved to be a forgery. So right, most of the biblical archaeologists, but the fact of the matter is that the testimony at the time is over 500 people saw the risen Christ. And these were people who were cowards before they saw him, and then they were willing to be tortured, and they refused to give up their belief that they had seen the risen Christ. And the testimony is not just in the New Testament, but also in Josephus. So we've got pretty good evidence. You know, I used to work at the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York, for the fact that this that the resurrection occurred.
Hey, Ted, is it a big deal that this is coming out? Is it blasphemy? Is this a blow at Christianity?
Well, it's all of those things, and the big deal is that James Cameron is a powerful filmmaker. He's also had a lot of bombs lately, especially his 3D documentaries, and which weren't that bad, actually. But, you know, I think that this is a desperate attempt of shameless opportunism, and it's sad, because if you really don't believe that Christianity is valid, then why deal with it like this? Treat it like a Greek myth. If you believe, and those of us who have come from being on one side of the equation to the other side of the equation through a contact with faith, then this is not going to change your faith whatsoever. Imagine, however, if this was done for Mohammed or anybody else, because we all know that
the streets would be on fire.
You would have an uproar, right?
All right.
Yeah, James Cameron wouldn't show his face.
Ted Baer, James Cameron going to have a news conference here in New York talking about this documentary today. The controversy will continue. Thanks for joining us.
Full disclosure, I'm a Christian, and I personally don't find the documentary's case persuasive. But I do appreciate having all the facts at hand and making up my mind. Fox and Friends prefers to offer a conservative helping hand in making that decision.